Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Shivaradari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Shivaradari. Yashodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Humbly bow down to each and every one of you and seek your blessings to be able to speak something that is according to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and is pleasing to Guru Shri Shri Radha Muralidhar Gaur Chandra Srila Prabhupada, and bring you all closer to pure devotional service and to the Lord's lotus feet. We are today reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:13-62. Dristva dvarena nijadora natovatirya Pritvyam vapuka nakakadandamiva bipatya Spritva chatur mukutakoti bir angi yukmam Natva murashra sujiler akutabhishekam Dristva dvarena nijadora natovatirya Pritvyam vapuka nakakadandamiva bipatya Spritva chatur mukutakoti bir angi yukmam Natva murashra sujaler akutabhishekam. Synonyms. Dristva, after seeing. Tvarena, with great speed. Hastily. Nija donanata, from his swan carrier. Avatirya, you can repeat. Yeah, listen. It's just the words. Avatirya, descended. Pritvyam, on the ground. Vapu, his body. Kanaka, dandam, Eva, like a golden rod. Abhipatya, fell down. Spritva, touching. Chatu Mukuta, Kotibihi, with the tips of his 4 crowns. Angri, Yugmam, the 2 lotus feet. Natva, making obeisances. Mut Ashru Sujalai, with the water of his tears of joy. Akrita, performed. Abhishekam, the ceremony of bathing his lotus feet. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. After seeing this, Lord Brahma hastily got down from his swan carrier, fell down like a golden rod, and touched the lotus feet of Lord Krishna with the tips of the 4 crowns on his heads. Offering his obeisances, he bathed the feet of Krishna with the water of his tears of joy. Purport. Lord Brahma bowed down like a stick, and because Lord Brahma's complexion is golden, he appeared to be like a golden stick lying down before Lord Krishna. When one falls down before a superior, just like a stick, one's offering of obeisances is called dandavat. Danda means stick, and vat means like. It is not that one should simply say dandavat. Rather, one must fall down. Thus, Brahma fell down, touching his foreheads to the lotus feet of Krishna, and his crying in ecstasy is to be regarded as an abhishek, bathing ceremony of Krishna's lotus feet. He who appeared before Brahma as a human child was in fact the absolute truth, Para Brahman, Brahmeti Parametmi Meti Bhagavan iti Sabhyate. The Supreme Lord is not a Kriti, that is, he resembles a human being. It is not that he is four-armed, Chaturbahu. Narayana is Chaturbahu, but the Supreme Person resembles a human being. This is also confirmed in the Bible, where it is said that man was made in the image of God. Lord Brahma saw that Krishna and his form as a cowherd boy was Para Brahman, the root cause of everything, but was now appearing as a human child, loitering in Vrindavan with a morsel of food in his hand. Astonished, Lord Brahma hastily got down from his swan carrier and let his body fall to the earth. Usually, the demigods never touch the ground, but Lord Brahma, voluntarily giving up his prestige as a demigod, bowed down on the ground before Krishna. Although Brahma has one head in each direction, he voluntarily brought all his heads to the ground and touched Krishna's feet with the tips of his four helmets. Although his intelligence works in every direction, he surrendered everything before the boy Krishna. It is mentioned that Brahma washed the feet of Krishna with his tears. And here the word sujale indicates that his tears were purified. As soon as bhakti is present, everything is purified. Sarvapadi Vinir Muktam. Therefore, Brahma's crying was a form of bhakti-anubhava, a transformation of transcendental ecstatic love. We can pray to our teachers to understand. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jananjana Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadadi Swabadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Parikamalam Shri Guru and Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sakrichatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sure Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpataru Vishra Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vastachada Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The Prabhupada Ki. So we have some main themes here from the purport. The first theme is that Lord Brahma was falling down like a golden stick. He was playing, he was doing his full dandavat, offering one's obeisances. And we similarly in our spiritual life need to offer these obeisances. Theme number 2 is that Krishna, he's actually the absolute truth, Para Brahman, but he is appearing in front of Brahma as a human child, but that human child is not a human child. That child is the original source of everything, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. and that it is confirmed even in the Bible that man was made in the image of God, and that Lord Brahma is actually now purified by this experience, and he realizes who Krishna is, and therefore he goes into a state of ecstasy and is bathing the Lord with his tears. But first of all, let's start with what has just happened. Can we just do like a little bit of recap? Can anybody online, you can unmute yourself, or in person, share what's been happening for the last number of verses? What did Lord Brahma actually see? Anybody? Anybody online?
He saw that the cowherd boys and the calves were actually Krishna's expansions.
Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Like what like what exactly did he see?
He saw the forearm form of Krishna's expansion as them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then what else did he see? Anybody else? Adi Purush Prabhu?
He wasn't seeing Krishna as Krishna before. He was bewildered, thinking that this was a little boy. But then he saw Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that his mystic power is very insignificant compared to Krishna's mystic power to recreate all these different boys and bewilder him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's quite an eye-opening experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody else have some more detail?
Hello.
Yeah.
So he also saw the Vishnu Murtis being. This is Jeffrey speaking.
Oh, hi. Krishna.
Hare Krishna. He also saw the Murtis being worshipped by other demigods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Yep, that's right. He's seeing, first he stole the cowherd boys, right? And then he's thinking, okay, whatever boys and calves were in Gokul, I have kept them sleeping on the bed of my mystic potency, and to this very day they have not risen again. And a similar number of boys and calves have been playing with Krishna for one whole year, yet they are different from the ones illusioned by my mystic potency. Who are they? Where did they come from? Right? So he was trying to understand. And because he tried to mystify the all-pervading Lord, who can actually never be mystified, he himself was put into bewilderment by his own mystic power. So when Lord Brahma is looking on all the calves and the boys, they immediately appeared to have complexions the color of bluish rain clouds and were dressed in yellow silken garments. Right? All those personalities had 4 arms holding a conch shell, a disc, a mace, and a lotus flower in their hands. They wore helmets on their heads, earrings on their ears, and garlands of forest flowers around their necks. And on the upper portion of the right side of their chest was the emblem of the goddess of fortune. And they wore armlets on their arms, the kastuba gem around their necks, which were marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, and bracelets on their wrist. They had bangles on their ankles, ornaments on their feet, and sacred belts around their waists, and all appeared very, very beautiful, and had tender garlands of tulsi leaves. So he's seeing these Vishnu forms, right? He's seeing these Vishnu forms. And then he saw that all beings, moving and non-moving, all the way from Brahma himself down to the most insignificant living entity, had actually taken different forms and were worshiping these Vishnu Murtis according to their capacities, with various means of worship, such as dancing and singing. We had an amazing seminar yesterday with Yogeshwar Prabhu last night called The Golden Avatar, and he was speaking about Lord Chaitanya. If you want to watch it, you can actually go to our Bhakti Center Temple YouTube page, and it's called The Golden Avatar. The recording is there. And he was speaking a lot, actually. Radhika Raman also zoomed in, and we're speaking about how actually through dancing and singing and this chanting, we worship the Lord. And someone asked a very interesting question. They actually said, can we find any parallel in this tradition between like the Greek tradition of the theater that the Greek did, that they did in the Greek culture? And I was thinking this is a very interesting conversation. The same person had asked about using dance and singing in theater as therapy. Actually, many people are studying this in academic circles. And Radhika Raman was saying that actually, yes, this dancing and singing and theater is actually used in our tradition as a means of realizing our transcendental position and our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's actually like a central part of our tradition. So just imagine all of these living entities, every living entity, moving and non-moving, are worshiping the Lord by dancing and singing. And the Vishnu Murtis, they're surrounded by mystic potencies headed by Aja, the 24 elements for the creation of the material world, actually headed by the Mahatattva. And then he sees that the time factor, svabhava, one's own nature by association, samskara, reformation, kama, desire, karma, fruit of activity, and the gunas, they're all actually taking these forms and worshiping these Vishnu Murtis. And it's just inconceivable how the glory of these Vishnu Murtis, right? So he's seeing this, and he saw at the same time all the calves and all the boys as the Lord's expansions. So he's seeing Krishna, and then he's seeing all the calves and boys as being expanded from Krishna, right? Okay, so then Lord Brahma, his senses are so jolted and just stunned by astonishment that he becomes completely silent. He becomes completely silent. And he's thinking, what is this? He's not even able to see, actually. He's completely stunned. And then seeing this, the Lord at once removed the curtain of his yoga maya, understanding the position that Brahma was in. Lord Brahma, then he revives his external consciousness, right, which had been stunned by this experience. And he stands up and he opens his eyes with great difficulty. And when he does that, he actually sees the universe along with himself. And he's looking in all directions, and he sees Vrindavan before him filled with trees. And it explains that Vrindavan is actually the transcendental abode of the Lord, where there is no hunger, anger, or thirst. Both human beings and fierce animals live there together in transcendental friendship. So he saw the absolute truth, who is one without a second, who possesses full knowledge and who is unlimited, assuming the role of a child in a family of cowherd men and standing all alone, just as before, with a morsel of food in his hand, searching everywhere for the calves and his cowherd friends. So Krishna, he goes back into that same exact mudra, one could say, or position that he was in when Lord Brahma stole the calves and the cowherd boys. He has some food in his hand, and he is looking everywhere. So this brings us to today's verse where Lord Brahma, he sees this, and if from his heart, because we have to remember he's purified now. He's actually understood who is the Lord, who is Krishna. And he just immediately gets down from his swan carrier, which one could say represents his position, right? Like Lord Brahma, his position is on this swan carrier, and it's an opulent position. He has no care for his position or staying on his swan carrier. He just wants to fall from a high place to a low place. This is what doing dandavats is actually about. It's this prayer that we chant before we go on the altar. I am not a Brahmana. I am not a Vaishya. I am not a Sudra. I am not, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi. I am not a temple president. I am not a mom. I am not a teacher. I am not anything. I am only the servant of the servant of the servant of your servants. And let me realize that position and let go of these external designations, right? Let me let go of these external designations and fall down to the lowest place like a rod. Prabhupada says one must fall down. And we put our head, which is the highest part of our body, to the Lord's feet, which is the lowest part of his body. And that this represents taking full shelter of the Lord and offering our body, our mind, our heart, our very soul to the Lord. And realizing our position. I am nothing. I am nothing. I am just falling down and praising you. How wonderful is Krishna? So this is actually what all of us in our practice of Krishna consciousness must do. It's said that one should bow down and offer at least 3 times a day. You know, how many times was Rupa Goswami falling down a day? The 6 Goswamis, how many times would they fall down? They would actually make it part of their daily sadhana to just do. I think it was, no, it was Raghunath Das Goswami. It wasn't Rupa Goswami. It was Raghunath Das Goswami. It was part of his daily sadhana on the banks of Radhakund. He would offer literally, I forget how many, maybe like 1,000 or something, obeisances every single day to all of the Vaishnavas in Vrindavan. We think, oh, I have to like pay my obeisances every time I enter and exit the temple. And I'm entering and exiting the temple so many times. And let me just do a quickie, right? But no, actually, it's like, every time we have that opportunity, we should, with our full consciousness, realize what we're doing. Prabhupada, I'm giving everything to you. And I think actually, like I always observe Radhanath Swami when he comes into the temple. He's so serious, actually. Like he takes his time to bow down. And you can see he's doing it with his full consciousness. He realizes what he's doing. He's fully bowing down to everyone, to Prabhupada, to Tulsi Devi. So we must do this. And it's so beautiful because in the purport and in the verse, it's actually showed that, you know, he's not just doing it. He's actually crying with tears of joy, which are bathing the feet of Krishna with an abhishek. We were discussing last night in Yogeshwar Prabhu's seminar. He actually showed us a clip of this amazing movie, which if you haven't watched it, you've got to watch it, Nimai of Nadia. It's about Lord Chaitanya. And then there's another one, I forget what it's called. I think it's like Mahaprabhu of Nilachala. And it's Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. And it's really good. And he showed us this clip of the Lord basically losing external consciousness and just crying out of separation for Krishna. And he had me read the Shikshastakam, and the last 2 verses, the last 3 verses actually, explain this verse. Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? So this is actually happening to Lord Brahma, that tears are flowing constantly and bathing the Lord. And he's just in complete ecstasy. And I asked a question to Yogeshwar Prabhu last night at the seminar. I said, you're sharing with us the highest revelations of love that is possible between the soul and Krishna. And we're reading these prayers, and at the same time, we're told to not think we're more advanced than we are, to not be concerned about what is our spiritual identity in the spiritual world, but to be focusing on being the servant of the servant of the servant in Lord Chaitanya's mission, and to focus on the earlier verses of the Shikshastakam, particularly the first verse, which glorifies the Sankirtana movement, which gives us the knowledge that we need to follow the rules and regulations and chant our prescribed number of rounds and chant together. And the Trinadapi Suni Chena verse, one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So I asked him, so how do we navigate this? And yeah, his response was basically like, yes, we need to focus on being the servant of the servant of the servant, and developing humility and tolerance and respect to all, and follow the process. And at the same time, we can hanker and long and yearn for these deeper feelings of love, and know that it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. We can appreciate it. We can appreciate what our tradition offers to us. But we have to be very, 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 very careful to not artificially do things that are above our pay grade. And then he actually told a story that I'll tell briefly of his time with Prabhupada. Prabhupada came to France, and Yogeshwar Prabhu somehow or other went to this library and found some poetry of Chandidas. And he brought this poetry to Prabhupada. And these poetry, it's very much in like Madhurya Ras. And, it can seem, if one's reading it, people will not understand, actually, because it seems even erotic. Yeah. And Prabhupada, he said that, yes, like this cannot be published. Very few people can understand this. And Yogeshwar Prabhu said to Prabhupada, yes, no one except you, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, he was so humble that Prabhupada said, no, I cannot be so bold. So this is Prabhupada, who is the savior of the entire world. And Prabhupada is saying that. Of course, we understand this is his humility, but he is instructing us. And Yogeshwar Prabhu also told us that that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually wanted to publish some of the poetry of Chandidas, and he went to Bhakti Vinod Thakur and asked him if he could publish, and Bhakti Vinod Thakur said no. And he went, after he asked many, many times, finally Bhakti Vinod Thakur said, you can make one copy for yourself, but you cannot print this widely. But just to get, I know we only have a few more minutes, but just to focus on Lord Brahma's crying, it says it's a form of bhakti-anubhava, a transformation of transcendental ecstatic love. He was completely purified. This means that he's completely purified from his false ego. And we have to meditate on, I think everyone has had the experience of crying in a kirtan or crying in front of the Lord. And we have to understand that those tears can be a mix of spiritual emotions and also material emotions and needing to just release. But it's not until our false ego is completely purified that we can have these pure tears of the Lord. So that's actually the whole main lesson of this pastime, is that Lord Brahma is giving up his prestige as a demigod and voluntarily surrendering everything to Krishna. And through that process, he is receiving this love. So we'll stop there because we have 5 minutes for comments and questions. If anyone would like to say something, you said you had one.
Hare Krishna. We were asking what did Brahma see? And certainly he saw another batch of cowherd boys, and he saw the Vishnu forms, and he saw the Vrindavan, and there was a lot of extraordinary perception. But to come to the point of crying, we can understand that what he saw was Krishna loves me. And that the love evokes the reciprocal love from the devotee, that the Lord is revealing this to me to help me become humbled, become purified. And he's doing that because he loves me. And when he saw that Krishna loves him, and Krishna's reaching out to him, and he also, the love in his heart was awakened, and he began to cry. As far as I know, we'll go to Sri Prabhupada.
Thank you. That's right. Everything that Krishna does is because he loves us, and he wants the best for us, and he ultimately wants us to turn to him and surrender to him, because he knows that we'll be happy if we do that. As long as we turn away from him, we won't be happy. But if we turn towards him, we will be happy.
And beautiful, beautiful class, Champakalata. I'm just reflecting. When we deviate from our sadhana, from our commitments, from Krishna essentially, and then we come back to our senses, and that's the moment when we realize that Krishna has always been there for me. I was away, but Krishna has always been there, has always loved me, never ceased to be there for me. And that's a very emotional moment, at least to me. Every time I come back to my senses, I understand. Yeah, Krishna and the devotees, they've always been there for me. And now I'm back. Krishna, thank you. Because you made me reflect like that. Thank you, Champaka. And a question. It relates to the first part of your class. So there was one pastime with Srila Prabhupada. The devotees in Europe, they had just opened a temple in Geneva, I believe it was. And Srila Prabhupada came to visit and they were about to see him in person for the first time. And they were in the airport chanting, doing kirtan loudly. And the devotee that was leading the kirtan, he was building up, he was chanting. He said, we could chant for hours back then. So they'd been chanting for hours and hours. And then finally, Prabhupada was about to descend from the airplane. And then Prabhupada shows up and they see Prabhupada for the first time. And then the kirtan stops. Everything stops because the devotees are in awe. And Srila Prabhupada comes up to the kirtan leader and says, what did Srila Prabhupada say? That's a question to you, Champak. It relates to the first part of your class. It was 2 words.
What did Srila Prabhupada say?
Yes. When the kirtan stopped and the devotees were looking at him with awe.
Did he say something along the lines of keep going, keep chanting? I don't know. I don't know the answer.
No, he didn't say that. It was 2 words. It relates to what Brahma did to our verse today and to your point that you made in the beginning. Starts with B.
With B?
Huh?
I don't know.
Would anyone like to guess what Srila Prabhupada said? It relates to what Brahma is doing in this.
Bow down.
Bow down.
Bow down, yes.
Oh,
Srila Prabhupada came up and said, bow down. And everybody bowed down and got up and the kirtan went on. Just a quick contribution to class.
wow, that's really beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, dear devotees, it's your turn. Unmute yourself, turn your camera on, and glorify Krishna. Wow, even reach bhakti. Okay, Bruce. Bruce Prabhu, you have a question? Okay, Andrea, Draupadi. No.
A question, just appreciation for Champakalata's enthusiasm to like
Oh, yeah.
explain these pastimes. And I really love how you broke down in terms of dandavats and the importance of really being in the moment for it and not just giving our obeisances as like another thing that we do. And it's a ritual that's very kind of, I guess, like empty, but really being present for it. So thank you so much for that reminder.
Thank you so much. So good to see you.
Thank you. Bhima Prabhu. Do you take off your hat when you bow down?
I do take off my hat. It actually falls off naturally. I can make no comment. I was out chasing a horse who got out of our property, and that horse would not bow down to me. He was wilding through the neighborhood. So I missed the whole class, spending an hour running after, actually it was 2 horses. So I'm going to watch it on YouTube and then, you know, maybe make a comment tomorrow. But as far as being in the moment, bowing down, I remember when I first joined the movement, and for many years I used to bow down and say and never think about what it really means. And only now, after 40 years, do I think about what it really means. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Thank you, Champakalata. Great class. Let's practice. Let's bow down. It's time to bow down. First stand up and then bow all the way down. Bruce Prabhu, you have to get under the car. Rich Bhakti, nice seeing you. Jai Shri Shivanam.
Can you hear you, Prabhu?
Oh, sorry. Takeaway time. Takeaways. Adipusha Prabhu.
We couldn't hear Bhima's comment.
He said he was chasing horses. That's
No, after that, he started to tell about bowing when he first came to the movement, bowing down. But they started the conch shell. So,
would you like to repeat?
I guess it's a confession. You know, for 10 years I spent even on the road, and you go through these Nama Om Vishnu Padaya and Vanchakalpatarubhasya, and you say it so many times that you forget to translate it in your heart, what it really means. So now what I do, when I realized that, when I grew up and I realized what I was doing, which was simply scat, it was simply just some jazz scat that I would do. I pronounce every word and I think, what does that mean? Even the Nrsimha prayers, you know, Nrsimha Dev is here, Nrsimha Dev is there, he's in my heart, he's everywhere. When you repeat that to your yourself, you're reminded. But if you're just going through the syllables, just like Hare Krishna, just like the Maha Mantra, you know, every time you say Krishna, you know, look at a picture of Krishna. It really helps to translate. Don't let Krishna get lost in translation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Adi is giving us thumbs up. Thank you, Adipusha Prabhu. Okay, Rich Bhakti, if you're still walking on the path of devotion, please reflect. Unmute, Rich.
I'm walking the path. The path I'm on is indeterminate, but I'm keeping your faces in front of me, so I know I'm headed in the right direction. But I feel like I'm sort of ashamed. I feel like I've spoken far too much lately, and I just feel like I just need to undergo a austerity of silence every once in a while and just listen, as Adi Purush was saying the other day. Hearing is our faith. I worry I'm just creating a bunch of hot air sometimes, but I guess the other thing too, I was just thinking of those who have the responsibility for figuring out what gets published and what distribution, or what who speaks on YouTube each day, or what we say, what we're saying, how we act. And Garunga said yesterday, man, becoming executive director of the Bhakti Center is the most humbling thing I've ever endured, and I can only imagine that to be the case. And I just gotta express my awe on that kind of responsibility. As for me, every day when I'm chanting japa, I just I don't know what mellow I'm in. I don't know what pure devotees' footsteps are following. If I could even find the traces of any around here. But I just and whenever I feared that maybe I'm intellectualizing something, or speculating, or doing something mechanical, or losing something in translation, as Bhima says so poetically, I just I picture every one of you, and I just one by one, I remember how Krishnadas Kaviraj in Chaitanya Charitamrita says, three things: the dust of a devotee's feet, the water by which that dust is washed off, and the remnants of his or her food. Serve these three things, and it will bring great good to you. And so I take each of you one by one. I've only met a handful of devotees in my life. Even Gail, I've never seen her. I've only heard her voice. But even her voice in my mind, it just sort of grows little feet. I take them on my head, and I imagine Bhima's filthy feet from being out in the muck. Take them on my head. Take all your feet, and I just absorb. I just absorb my gratitude to you, and I think of all the wonderful things that you've said in all of these classes, and all the wonderful things I've surely forgotten. And I'm just thankful that God willing, you'll be there again tomorrow for me to remind me, and to just give me a place to put my head. Anyway, there I am. So much for that austerity of speech. There's a lot of hot air for you.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you. That was very poetic. I thought Bhima Prabhu was the most poetic devotee on the call, but now I think it's you, Rich. Bhima Prabhu, is that okay with you?
Tell Rich that my feet are like lotuses. They're like lotus petals. Each one of my toes is a lotus petal, and he's welcome to place his head there at any time. I'll help him out.
Thank you. Sharmila has her hand raised. Sharmila.
Hare Krishna. I generally don't turn my camera on, but I wanted to share this with you all today. This is my son, and his name is Vishnu Murthy. And Vishnu was a beautiful soul. 20 years of age. He passed last year. This is Vishnu Murthy, and I get up every day. I still get up every day because now I see Vishnu Murthy in everyone's heart, in everyone's face, in everyone's life. I see Vishnu everywhere, just like Srimad Bhagavatam is saying. So I'm trying to keep close to Krishna and see Vishnu in everyone. So I wanted to share this. I get up every day. I make an effort to stay close to Krishna and see my dear Vishnu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sharmila. Very heartfelt contribution to our class. And Vishnu, nice to meet you. Thank you for smiling to us. Sharmila, thank you very much for tuning in to this class regularly. I'm
Hare
sure, yeah, Krishna is pleased by that. And we're all, there's no question of separation. We're chanting here, Vishnumurti is chanting there, Krishna is pleased, Srila Prabhupada is pleased. We're all here for each other every day. We're not going anywhere. We're sticking together to please Krishna collectively.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Have a wonderful day. Don't deviate. If you deviate, come back.
Did you see the links?
The what? The links? Okay. I saw some links. Oh yeah, I saw the links to the seminar. Yeah, I'll check it out. Okay.
No, I posted to the links of the movies.
Oh, Pinky, okay, hold it. Let me see. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. I have no idea. That's like the old black and white movie, right?
Yes.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. If you deviate, come back. We're here for you. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.